Let's break it down now with Professor Christopher Isike, Director of the African Center for the Study of the United States, University of Pretoria, political analyst and commentator as well. Prof, good morning. The writing was on the wall, you say. You said this a couple of months ago. Why did you think so?
Well, exactly for the reasons that some of your commentators have given. These are two very capricious fellows, the same character in terms of their vengefulness, very rich people. Like I said, very vengeful, and they both have social media accounts that they control, and it's going to really get ugly in the days and weeks and perhaps months to come.
So it's turned very personal, but how much of this is strategic calculation versus bruised egos on both sides?
Well, both fellows are erratic. They react almost knee-jerk to things, and they can afford to because of the enormous position of power that they occupy, one very economic, the other political. So I doubt that there's much of a strategy to this. It's about, the ability, feeling hurt by the other and the ability to express it anytime they want to, and that's what we are seeing playing out. On social media currently.
Yeah. Well, look, it's taken on a very real turn. Beyond the insults that have been traded, Trump has threatened Musk's federal contracts. Musk is hinting at funding GOP challenges. How real is the threat that each man poses to the other, and who has more to lose?
Well, to answer your last question, Musk has more to lose because you want to ask the reason why he actually went into government, spent over $250 million to get Trump elected. It wasn't just about his personal preferences for policies, but how these policies would affect his business. He's a big government contractor, like Trump has hinted. And Trump has the capability to do that. He can cut those fundings. So when Elon went to government to cut $1 trillion of wasteful expenditure and ended up only saving $175 million, laughable if you like, but it did not do much, right? And Trump actually highlighted this. But you must ask, what else did he get? He was able to, in the time he was in government, prosecute those who were, interrogating some of his businesses and reviewing his contracts with government. And that's what Trump is aiming to do. On Elon's side, he can hurt Trump. You've heard him call out the senators to not pass the big, beautiful bill, according to Trump. You've also heard him talk about, possibility of funding an alternate political party. All of this he can do, and he will be able to dare politicians, especially the Republicans, to actually confront Trump. And this can be hurtful, especially with Trump's big bill, which will be the hallmark of his presidency.
We'll circle back to that one, but talk about hitting you in the pocket. Tesla stock losing $150 billion in value in one day after Trump's remarks. How might this battle affect investor confidence in Musk-led companies in the long term?
Well, his companies have been taking a tumble for weeks now, especially because of the boycott of his services, and his shareholders have not been happy themselves. I would reckon that if he really withdraws from government completely and focuses on managing the businesses, he may be able to recover because of the strategic influence that some of them have in the economies of not just the U.S., it's the security, as well as countries elsewhere in the world, right? So if he focuses, he may be able to recover. Otherwise, he may consider also stepping down from some of them at some point just to save these companies and then come back later.
Christopher, as you've just touched on, Musk once played a key role in the Trump administration as head of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. What does this fallout say about the risks of drawing billionaires into government policymaking?
Well, look, this has always happened historically everywhere in the world, the relationship between business and politics and the impact that they have on policy. It's been better managed elsewhere in the world, and this is the first time we are seeing two very strong personalities falling out, because of their differences in policy, and of course the ego then takes over from there. And it's something that is of concern, should be regulated more. Otherwise, you begin to question the purpose of the state, its essence, if all it does is pander to the whims and caprices of big business.
I want to stay with this, the support that either of them have, and given Musk's massive influence online, his ability, as we've seen before, to mobilize support. Is it possible that his criticism of Trump could trigger a shift amongst younger and tech-savvy conservatives?
Well, I doubt they will. Trump is a cat with many lives. He's survived worse. Just look at the court cases he's survived, even at assassination attempts. All of these have made him a bit stronger. Of course, he's losing popularity across board right now, so this only adds up to it. But eventually, he will find a way to, to come out of this, considering also that there are other big business, tech business moguls and others that have lined up to support him. So I don't think that this will make him, lose his appeal, especially amongst his Republican base, but among independents, Democrats, young people, like you said, this could be hurtful.
So I want to go to perhaps this one next. Trump is pushing this big tax bill nonetheless. Musk is opposing it on deficit grounds. Is the split perhaps also revealing a deeper rift inside the Republican Party between populists and pro-business technocrats?
I can say that, especially if you look at the role that Steve Bannon has played in calling for Trump to investigate Elon Musk. He's been saying this for months. He was one of the brains behind Trump, and he felt pushed out by the role that Elon assumed in January. And yes, there's been those rifts within the party and within the conservative elements of the country. And I think that many of them will see this as good riddance and try to use the opportunity to get the country back. Because again, it makes nonsense of what the Republican Party is supposed to be about in terms of a conservative ideology.
I think, and I said to you while we were testing before we came to our interview, that some people might have a sense of schadenfreude that this has happened. Perhaps even, our country where these lies around a white genocide have been peddled, watching to see if this relationship center can hold, and things are really getting ugly. Musk now hinting that Trump is tied to the Epstein files. It's a dramatic escalation. If this feud continues, is it possible it could damage Trump's credibility heading into the midterms and potentially fracture GOP unity?
Well, if all the cases Trump faced before the 2024 elections could not prevent him from winning, I doubt that this will, especially as Elon has not provided any evidence, unless he knows something that we don't know. And even if he does, there is that soft appeal that many Republicans have towards Trump. However, Trump's popularity has been waning, especially since he has not been able to address the core issues around the economy that made a lot of people vote for him in the first place. And maybe this is an indicator of the fact that sometimes civilizational issues, ideology issues, trump the economy, contrary to what we've been made to believe about how Americans vote.
Chris, before I let you go, as you watch this unfold, and I think we had a sort of foreshadowing of the way that Trump would run the Oval Office in 2016, it almost feels like we're in a dystopian context in the way that this politics is playing out, the politics now, and the theater actually of the Oval Office. Do you predict this getting messier, or is this, already sort of the bottom of the pit, and one wonders which direction it's going to go in?
So, like you said, these both men are actually very non-strategic in their approach. They respond knee-jerk to things like this, and they throw their arsenal out. I think that I don't think there's anything else that's worse than what Elon has said or what Trump has threatened about Elon. It's going to get a bit messier for a couple of days more because they are also petulant, like they act like children sometimes. This will get dragged out for a couple of days, weeks, and then eventually it will slow down and everyone will go to their tent. So how much damage it will do to their relationship and whether there's a chance that it can be salvaged will depend on how ugly it's going to be and what other actors on the fringes, the role they play to try and either mend or tear them apart.
Yeah, I mean, people have talked about a bromance and stuff, but you know, in relationships, the deeper the love, the harder the breakup, and you see all of this sort of vitriol coming out. And perhaps it's testament to what they once believed about themselves and where they are now as the world's most powerful man faces and versus the world's richest man. We'll continue to see this theatre playing out for a couple more days, as Professor Isike says. Thank you for your time and your analysis this morning, Christopher. I really do appreciate it.